Chris Madsen was a soldier and U.S. Deputy Marshal in Oklahoma. He joined the Danish Army after being born Christian Madsen Rormos in Denmark on February 25, 1851. In 1876, he made his way to the United States, where he left his last name behind, adopting the name Chris Madsen instead. He joined the U.S. Cavalry as soon as he got there and was thrust into the middle of the Plains Indian Wars. When the Spanish-American War broke out, he joined up with Teddy Roosevelt's Rough Riders. After serving nearly 15 years in the military, Madsen left the Army and became a U.S. Deputy Marshal in Oklahoma in 1891. Alongside Heck Thomas and Bill Tillman, the trio came to be known as the Three Guardsmen, and they played a crucial role in stamping out the lawlessness in Indian Territory. Known as a fighter who would never give up, Madsen played a key role in tracking down Bill Doolin and his gang. He was directly in charge of eliminating gang members Richard Little Dick West, George Redbuck Waitman, and Dan Dynamite Dick Clifton. In 1911, he was named U.S. Marshal for the entire state of Oklahoma. He was named Oklahoma City's Chief of Police, even though he was in his 70s. Madsen attempted to re-enlist in the U.S. Army during World War I, but was denied entry because of his age. He worked for the governor of Oklahoma as a special investigator from 1918 until 1922. On January 9, 1944, Christian Madsen died quietly in Guthrie, Oklahoma, at the age of 93. He was buried in Yukon, Oklahoma's Frisco Cemetery. On September 22, 1852, Edward Ed Masterson was born in Henryville, Quebec, Canada. He moved to Wichita, Kansas in 1871 with his family. Ed joined brothers Bat and James in hunting buffalo later that year. At July 1877, Ed became an assistant marshal at Dodge City. During a fight at the Lone Star Dance Hall later that year, Bob Shaw shot him in the chest. Despite his serious injuries, he survived to become the Marshal of Dodge City. He accompanied Charles Bassett and his brother Bat, who was by that time the sheriff of Ford County, in apprehending 2 rail robbers on March 15, 1878. But on April 9th, the very next month, Ed was shot while attempting to disarm an intoxicated cowboy named Jack Wagner. Wagner was struck in the chest by Masterson's retaliatory round. After that, Ed crossed the street to George M. Hoover's Tavern, where he narrated the story before collapsing. After being brought to his room, he passed away half an hour later. The following day, Jack Wagner also passed away. The Fort Dodge Military Cemetery is where Ed was laid to rest. Jim Masterson founded a saloon in Dodge City, Kansas, after going buffalo hunting with his brothers. After his brother Ed, the Dodge City Marshal at the time, was slain in the line of duty a year later. In June 1878, Jim was appointed Assistant Marshal of Dodge City, Kansas. Masterson also collaborated with Wyatt Earp, a deputy marshal, while working for Marshal Charlie Bassett. When Bassett served longer than he could, he was elevated to marshal in November 1879. Jim lost his job when Dodge elected a new mayor. He was told to leave Dodge City after shooting Al Updegraff during a firefight 10 days later. After that, he relocated to Trinidad, Colorado, where he worked as a constable and deputy. He relocated to Raton, New Mexico, around 1885, where he was named Colfax County's undersheriff. After another move, he eventually made his home in Guthrie, Oklahoma, where he was appointed sheriff of Logan County. He joined the Doolin Gang in 1893 Ingalls, Oklahoma, shooting after being appointed a U.S. Deputy Marshal. Masterson passed away on March 31, 1895, from consuming alcohol.